Welcome, curious minds. Today we're plunging into a world many might think is, well, long gone. But get this. Medium wave radio broadcasting across Europe is surprisingly alive and kicking.
It really is. It hangs on in some fascinating ways.
And for this journey, we're armed with a pretty unique guide. It's the Europe on Medium Wave Summer 2025 compilation. Tony Rogers from the British DX Club put it together, and it's super recent, updated just June 17th.
Yeah, it's an incredible piece of work for anyone interested in this.
So our mission today, we want to cut through all that extensive data in the guide and really figure out what's truly significant about medium wave radio right now. You know, which countries are still using it, why, and are there any unexpected trends popping up in this seemingly old school tech?
And it's fascinating, as you said, because this guide isn't static. It really is a living document. It gets updated frequently, and that perfectly illustrates just how dynamic medium wave broadcasting still is. Now, sure, any big list like this might have, the odd error or omission, but its real strength is that commitment to quick correction and updating. It gives us this fantastic snapshot of a landscape that's actually still shifting quite a bit.
Okay, let's unpack this then.
Yeah.
Diving into the guide, one of the first things that just leaps out is how many countries have simply, pulled the plug on domestic medium wave. It feels like a massive, undeniable trend across the continent. What do you think are the main drivers behind that, this sort of widespread abandonment?
Well, it's clearly a big economic and technological shift happening. Across much of Western and Central Europe, the national public broadcasters have largely migrated away from medium wave. And the reasons are pretty clear. FM, digital radio like DAB, internet streaming. They often offer better sound quality, more channels, more targeted content. So you see places like Albania's RTSH, Belgium's RTBF and VRT, Croatia's HRT. They've all stopped their domestic medium wave stuff.
Right. So it's not just like a slow fade out. It's definite closures in quite a few places.
Exactly. Take Kisk Rozhlas in the Czech Republic. They just stopped all their long wave and medium wave services right at the end of 2021, December 31st. Done. Denmark's DR, the national broadcaster, no longer uses MW. And interestingly, even some private stations there, like World Music Radio and Radio 208, they've stopped their MW broadcasts very recently, late 2024 for one, May 2025 for the other.
Oh, wow. So that highlights it's not just the public guys, it's private companies making that economic call, too.
Absolutely. That's a really key point. It's a market trend as much as a public policy decision sometimes.
Are there other big examples of this kind of complete shutdown?
Oh, definitely. Estonia, Finland, France, Iceland, Ireland, their national broadcasters are completely off medium wave now. Italy's RAI, that was a big one. They closed all their MW transmitters by September 2022. Latvia, Lithuania, same story. National and major private stations off. MW Luxembourg's RTL. I mean, they used to be huge on European medium wave, right?
Oh, yeah, legendary.
Well, their English service went way back in '92, and the German service ended in 2015. Even countries like Slovakia and Serbia, their last remaining national MW transmitters have powered down pretty recently. Slovakia's was end of 2022. So yeah, the trend is pervasive.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. While, so many have stepped back, medium wave is clearly not dead everywhere. Some nations were still maintaining these incredibly robust networks, often with really high power or for very specific, maybe strategic purposes. What makes these countries different? Why are they sticking with it?
Yeah, that's the fascinating counterpoint, isn't it? Despite that decline, medium wave remains a strategic asset in certain places. And it's down to its unique propagation, especially its ability to cover huge areas with just one powerful transmitter. And it's resilient, works during emergencies. So take Hungary, for example. Dunamedia's Kossuth Radio, that's their main public station. It's on 540 kilohertz from a place called Solt. And it transmits at a staggering 1,000 kilowatts, 1 megawatt.
1,000 kilowatts, wow. That's huge.
It's immense. To put that in perspective, it's like shouting across a continent. It guarantees a signal that can travel hundreds, even thousands of miles. The guide says it reaches all over Central Europe and beyond. And they don't just have that. They also have specific broadcasts for national minorities and a music station, Donko Radio, also on medium wave. It's a very deliberate, powerful investment in national reach and cultural preservation.
1,000 kilowatts. It sounds like they're really leaning into medium wave's unique strengths, not just letting it fade away.
They absolutely are. And Romania is another powerhouse in this space. Their national broadcaster, SRR, maintains this incredibly extensive network. Their main news channel, Radio Romania Actualitoshi, has numerous transmitters, many running at 400 kilowatts. Think Targu on 558 kilohertz or Bucharest on 855. They say they cover over 99% of the country, which, as you said, is just remarkable for medium wave in modern Europe.
That's astonishing coverage. And what about that station you mentioned, Antenna Sattler? That sounds unique.
It really is. Radio Romania Antenna Sattler. It's exclusively for rural communities, apparently the only one of its kind in Europe. It gives essential info, entertainment specifically tailored for those areas. And what's more, Romania's regional stations, they heavily use MW2, especially for regional news and, crucially, minority language programs. We're talking Hungarian, German, Greek, Turkish, Ukrainian, Roma, Serbian, a whole host of languages.
Wow.
It's a massive commitment to serving diverse populations and ensuring wide access, maybe where digital options aren't quite as common yet.
That commitment to linguistic diversity on the airwaves.
Right.
That's a really powerful reason to keep medium wave going, isn't it?
It really is. Portugal also stands out. RTP's Antena 1 broadcasts on multiple frequencies, often up to 10 kilowatts. And private stations like Radio Renascença are still there on MW2. Then if we look eastward, we see Russia, but operating specifically from Transnistria, that region in Moldova.
Oh.
From a big transmitter site in Grigoriopol, they operate Radio Rossi on 999 kilohertz at, again, a massive 5,000 kilowatts, and Vesti FM on 1,413 kilohertz at 500 kilowatts.
Right.
These are clearly strategic, high-power operations, big international reach. And the guide also mentions some irregular tests of Radio Rossi from Kaliningrad itself, which suggests they're still interested in this method.
So these aren't just old legacy systems slowly dying. They're actively maintained, often for these broad, sometimes international strategic reasons.
Indeed. And then you have Spain. Spain's fascinating. Radio Nacional de España, the state broadcaster, runs 2 national services on MW Radio Nacional, which is like Radio 1, and Radio 5, their news channel. They have loads of transmitters, many at high power, 100, 150 kilowatts, places like Majadahonda near Madrid on 585 or Barcelona on 738. But beyond the public broadcaster, the big private networks, Cadena, SER, Cope, Onda Cero, they also maintain significant medium wave presences, often with 50 kilowatt transmitters in major cities.
Huh. So it's a really robust commercial medium wave scene there, quite different from other places.
Very different. It shows MW can still hold its own commercially in some markets.
Okay, so what does this all mean then? Beyond these sort of national giants holding on, we're seeing some really fascinating niche uses, even unexpected revivals. What's going on there?
Well, it raises that important question, doesn't it? Why is this old tech being repurposed or holding on in these specialized ways, even as others just drop it? Firstly, you've got these wonderful museum and heritage stations. Take Austria's Museums Radio, AM 1476, and Bad Ischl, tiny power, 0.4 kilowatts.
Yeah.
And they just air old German and international records from this huge collection they have. It's delightful. A real historical preservation project using the original medium.
It's like a living museum on the airwaves, bringing that old sound back. That's really cool.
Precisely. Germany has quite a few similar low-power stations, some operating at literally 1 milliwatt. That's a signal for just a few blocks, a tiny whisper.
Wow.
Often just for special events, keeping that history alive. Norway and Sweden have museum projects, too. Gothenburg Radio Museet in Sweden broadcasts just for a classic car weekend.
Huh? Aimed right at the old cars with their original AM radios.
Oh. Exactly. It's a very specific, almost nostalgic niche that, only medium wave can really fill in that way. And secondly, there's this really interesting trend in low-power local broadcasting. And the Netherlands is the prime example here. It's quite unique. After talking to the public, the Dutch government actually opened up the medium wave band specifically for low-power stations. So now you have lots of stations licensed for a maximum of 100 watts, sometimes even just 1 watt on one frequency, 1,485 kilohertz. And this has led to this whole bunch of new stations popping up: Radio Calypso, Impact AM, Radio Seagull, KBC Radio, all serving very local communities.
That's quite an innovative approach, isn't it? Effectively carving out a new space for medium wave where it can thrive locally.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost the opposite of those huge national transmitters we talked about.
It absolutely is. It shows the technology can be adaptable. And thirdly, there's the whole area of international broadcasting and strategic relays. Cyprus has the Encompass East Mediterranean Relay Station. It's a big 500 kilowatt facility at Zakaki. used to relay BBC World Service. Now it relays BBC Arabic TV audio and BBC World Service English into really crucial regions: North Africa, Middle East, Syria, Gaza, the West Bank.
Right, that's a critical use, especially for areas where maybe internet access is patchy or traditional media might be controlled. Medium wave gives you that potentially uncensored, accessible channel.
Exactly that. Estonia's Radio Eli, that's 100, 200 kilowatts, targets Russia, carrying TWR relays, among others. France has TWR Europe and Kamina broadcasting in Kabyle and Arabic from Rumouls using a massive 1,000 kilowatt transmitter. Lithuania's Radio Baltic Waves International, they lease out transmitter time to foreign broadcasters like NHK World Japan, Radio Poland, Radio Ukraine International, and they even have stations like Radio Signal and Radio Lenta Pravda targeting Belarus and Russia. The guide mentions Lenta Pravda is specifically aimed against disinformation.
Wow. So medium wave is actively being used as a tool to counter misinformation, to get essential news across borders, especially in these politically sensitive zones. That's a powerful statement about its relevance.
It really is. The UK's BBC World Service also uses high-power relays from Oman to reach Afghanistan, the Middle East, South Asia in lots of different languages, even Vatican Radio. While they don't broadcast from their own MW transmitters anymore, their programs get rebroadcast by other stations around the world, so the content still gets out there via medium wave. And finally, maybe one of the most significant niche uses now is emergency broadcasting, Greece's ERT. They're actually planning to revive a whole network of 9 medium wave transmitters.
Revive, so they'd shut them down.
Some had been deactivated, yes. Now they're bringing them back specifically for national emergencies. Places like Shemania, that one came back online just recently, late May 2025. This whole plan overturns previous shutdowns, and they've even had issues with transmitters being looted in the past. So it's a really clear strategic decision, recognizing that medium wave is robust, it works when other things might fail, power cuts, infrastructure damage, that kind of thing.
Okay, so it's not just about the signals, it's about what you actually hear. The guide suggests the content on medium wave is incredibly diverse, reflecting all these different needs and interests. How does that programming really use medium wave's characteristics?
Well, if we connect it back to the bigger picture, the programming really shows why medium wave is still useful. You get essential news and current affairs from those big national broadcasters we mentioned, like Hungary's Kossuth Radio, Spain's RNE, Portugal's Antena 1. That's core national information, often reaching areas where maybe digital isn't everywhere or isn't always reliable.
And that minority language programming seems like a huge part of that picture, right? It feels like medium wave is a unique platform for keeping those cultural identities alive on air.
It absolutely is. Hungary's Nemzetiségi Adások, and especially Romania's regional stations, they really stand out. Romania's Antena Sattler, the rural station, even has programs in Hungarian and German. And their regional stations cover this incredible range: Hungarian, German, Greek, Turkish, Ukrainian, Czech, Slovak, Roma, Serbian, Bulgarian.
It's amazing.
It truly highlights medium wave's power for cultural preservation, for community building, reaching people who might otherwise be missed by other media.
Beyond the news and the languages, are there particular music genres or really specialized types of content finding a home on medium wave?
Definitely. You've got Austria's Museums Radio with its old records appealing to vintage music fans. The Czech Republic has country radio and also Radio Dechovka, which is like folk and brass band music. Finland has Scandinavian weekend radio playing tropical world music. Ireland's Radio North 846 AM does oldies and country. Romania's Donko Radio focuses on Hungarian songs, folk, operettas. So yeah, very specific musical niches. You also find quite a bit of religious programming. Ireland's Radio Star Country includes gospel. Italy and Romania have various private Christian stations.
So it's this fascinating mix then: cultural preservation, essential community service, but also these really deep niche interests that benefit from the reach and accessibility of medium wave.
Precisely. And you find educational and cultural stuff too. Cyprus's RIK Proto, Romania's Antena Sattler focusing on rural life and farming. Ukraine's Radio Ukraine International uses short podcasts, very modern format, but delivered via MW to get timely info out. Entertainment talk shows are there too: RIK Triton in Cyprus, Gadina SCR in Spain. And for a truly specific example, that Romanian station, Antena Sattler, even broadcasts a hydrological bulletin like river levels in French, Russian, and Romanian.
Wow, that's niche.
It shows how even very specialized public service info can still find a place on medium wave.
So we've journeyed right across Europe's medium wave landscape today, and we've found this surprising mix, haven't we? Decline in many areas, sure, but also real resilience, and even innovative rebirth in others. It's pretty clear that this old technology still serves these crucial, almost irreplaceable roles sometimes, whether that's national information, cultural preservation, or bridging international divides in ways that maybe newer digital platforms can't always match.
Yeah, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, it does raise an important question, I think. In this age of instant digital everything, what are those enduring fundamental qualities that medium wave has? What makes it indispensable in certain contexts? And how might its niche continue to evolve, as technology keeps changing all around it?
So we invite you listening to think about what medium wave radio means in your world. Is it just a nostalgic memory? Is it a tool you use for niche interests? Or is it maybe a vital link in some unexpected place you hadn't considered? The enduring power of older technologies in our modern, hyper-connected world. It's definitely something to mull over.